Hello and welcome to IT Chronicles 10 in Tech. We're here with my colleague, Kathleen Wilson.
Hello.
Welcome. And CEO of Fullcast, Dharmesh Singh.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. So, Dharmesh, my understanding is that the product is around sales planning, but I guess that's different than what we normally see, right? We see a lot of the work around CRM and sales enablement. So tell us a little bit more. I don't think a lot of people are that familiar with what type of capabilities you're providing around that sales planning side.
Yeah. So our belief is sales ops professionals, right? They are the only ones left right now working mostly out of Excel or point solutions, right? So you have CRM for the salespeople and sales managers, and then for the SDRs you have outreach and sales ops. But ops is basically drowning in Excel, and so and they do a lot of tactical work, right? And so so we are automating the entire cycle all the way from sales planning to sales execution. So what we mean by that is your ability to create your go-to-market plan, to do territory segmentation, to set quotas, target assignments, and then manage the ongoing moves, adds, and changes of people as people change role or somebody leaves. What do you do with their accounts? How do you give them quota, right? So that is a lot of manual work that gets done. So we're automating that entire space, and then we tie it back to their go-to-market strategy, right? So our belief is, as a company will evolve, the one thing that's constantly changing is their go-to-market, right? And so the system has to be automated, so keep it in sync.
Right. So I guess that's one that we don't, as technologists, we don't think about that, right? We open up Excel and VB scripts, formula. We could do anything in Excel. I mean, we've seen, enterprises.
Pivot tables.
Yeah, exactly. We see enterprises running still on some Excel things. So how is it being received? I'm curious because there's a lot of people that have invested, maybe built teams around maintaining a spreadsheet.
Yeah, in fact, I was one of them. So prior to this, me and my partner, right, we were part of sales operations and global sales office at Salesforce, and we were running business planning at Microsoft. Our last gig at Salesforce, we had about 1,500 spreadsheets going to 400 managers. We had an entire team in Costa Rica just managing those spreadsheets. Wow. That was the genesis of building a Fullcast, because spreadsheets are asynchronous. They're not tied to your CRM system, right? So you pull a data and it's outdated. And then for the next 6 months, you're just working out of spreadsheets. By the time you get done with plan, and you roll that plan back into Salesforce, 30% of the workforce has changed because people have left the company, new accounts got created, and it's like you're trying to readjust everything else. And once you're done with the readjustment, your original plan from the spreadsheet is almost off. Right. And so what we've found out is that as change cycles are becoming shorter and companies are trying to sort of do a lot more, a lot faster, they cannot afford for those lengthy Excel-driven planning cycles, right? They want visibility, and most importantly, once the plan is built, they want to see how they're working against the plan. Is the plan actually working?
Why would you want to know if you're being successful with your plan?
or otherwise.
Or not. Well, see, but that's the whole thing, right? If you don't know, then nobody could really hold you accountable.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at it, right, we have had more sales tools than ever right now. Yet attainment levels at sales are at 54%, which means companies are actually hiring double the requisite number of people. And they're needed. Yes, there's admin work, there's all the other stuff, but 54% is an all-time low. Wow. And it's because we're growing so fast, and nobody is able to sort of keep track to your plan and how things are working.
So is the current state something that they're just rewarding people or crediting people like you tried, and they're just simply unable to basically say you succeeded versus the tool given that insight?
I mean, there is a little bit of we will overhire, we will assign a quota, we'll assign a territory, and those who survive, those who don't, we'll let them go after a quarter. But there's a cost for doing that, right? I mean, it takes time for a new one, someone to come in, ramp. It's not the most efficient way of growing company. I mean, which is why you see a lot of these companies. We saw the CNBC had an article on DocuSign and Zuora and all these other companies that when they've come into the public limelight, they're getting killed because their sales you're missing your numbers, and the reality is because as they've grown, their go-to-market has constantly evolved. When they were a private company, there was not that much attention. But as you're growing now, it gets very hard to scale and without any automation there.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's an area where we haven't done a lot of benchmarking either on. So, because like if you're tracking something in Excel and you're tracking something in CRM, how do you actually, benchmark or even understand what it takes from, the ideation phase to the actual execution phase?
Yeah.
So, do you see, or are you starting to collect like some industry-based benchmarks on different, like maybe banking or software companies? Like, could we possibly start seeing, some industry benchmarks around how these processes work?
So today we don't have it.
Yes.
Because we don't have that much install base, right? And CRM data is notoriously dirty. So our goal is that eventually, right, we will have peer benchmarks, so we can tell people that companies that are driving your level of deal sizes in your industry, right? This is the average ramp time they have for reps. This is the average OTE. This is the average quota they're having. So you can actually have some sort of a benchmark, because that's one thing most sales leaders kind of figured out, right? And you ask a Series B or a Series C person, how did you create the plan? They're like, well, our board gave us the plan. Right? You have to do 20%.
Right.
Right, 30%. So like, it is one of those things that we aspire to become that source of peer benchmark.
Yeah, well, as I said, you can't improve what you can't measure. And I think, as I said, when we started talking earlier, it's like, I never even thought about this. Like, it's such a unique thing, but it's such a desired, needed thing, right? Like, it's like many organizations would benefit from this because the cost of doing a sale. Yeah. What is the cost of doing a sale? But we never thought about the upfront, like the before you start going knocking on doors. What did it cost you?
Yeah, and we all know sales people move.
Oh yeah.
Right, and so if you're an ops and you have, let's say, you have a quota that is assigned to a territory, let's say in Europe, and you got 3 guys suddenly leave, you have no way of knowing what's the impact to your plan, right? Because you'll say, okay, it'll take me 3 months to hire this guy, 6 months to ramp. What does it do to my quota? And if you have even if you have an early warning system that those people have left, you can do course correction. You can say, okay, I'm going to reallocate this quota somehow, right? But today with Excel and CRM as 2 different systems, those systems never talk.
Well, but I think you bring up a good point too. It's, there's a lot of the stuff that in the industry, we're all talking about value, the business outcomes and whatnot. So if it costs you 3 times as much now to ultimately close that deal and deliver that product or service because you're inefficient on the sales planning side, on the ops side, that product is not what just we normally measure as the product costing.
Correct.
There might have been thousands or millions of dollars spent to get that to that end result, and we have no idea.
But it's never been included in history. We've never included
which
those
is part of
costs.
the problem, right? When you do your value stream mapping, that has to be part.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the metrics we tell our customers is to track net MRR growth or quick ratio, because you could be doing $100 every month, but if you're leaking $90 every month as well.
If it's costing you 200 to do 100, that's probably not the good margin
exactly.
side.
There's something that you can actually do, right? And so you can't do those things if you don't have full visibility,
right?
And transparency.
Right.
It was interesting too when you talked about the story, like if you're Western Europe, sales reps leave, right? And it's like, but you could also do risk analysis. Like you could do, it's not nice, but you could do what if scenarios.
Absolutely.
When you do this, like what if this person I know, my
Who's
top
the top salesperson?
my top salesperson is going to leave, because it's also where you can go and it's like maybe this person needs a raise.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Maybe they should go to the President's Club and go on a cruise.
We need to make sure we keep that person, because that person is 30%, 40%.
Yeah, I mean, our goal here is, you have a current plan. So you want to track how you're performing against plan. But then the board is always asking, what if I give you 100 more people? How fast can you go? Yeah. You do the what if analysis. Right. If we can track from CRM, well, the number of meetings for the star rep have actually gone down. It's an early warning system that, what's happening. His activity levels historically been low. Right. Someone's need to have a conversation with his manager and just have that discussion, right? So absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there's so many different what if scenarios, right? It's like, hey, we heard about a new company coming into this market space, but they're only Eastern European or they're North Americans. What is our risk there?
Yeah. Absolutely, and those are things that never get captured because CRM is a very transactional system. Close an opportunity, done, you move on.
Right. Well, it's I'm curious to see how this goes, because I mean it's obviously an area I think we've all experienced the detriments of it not having tools and capabilities around. So I'm curious to see how this really goes. I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, we have a booth here on the
I know,
floor.
I'm going over to the
we
booth
gotta
next.
go get a shot.
I have to go over to the booth and I want to see.
Yeah, we
That'll
need
be
to see
awesome.
it.
Okay,
I'd
that would
love
be
to show
great.
it,
Get a
yeah.
demo. So again, we'd like to thank you, Dharmesh, for spending 10 minutes of your busy day with us to tell us more about what you're doing around full life cycle
Full
management.
cast.
It's like full cast, full life cycle management.
That's right. We took it off forecast and forecast.
Full cast,
Full cast
forecast your
forecast.
forecast.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
Dharmesh.
Catherine. Thank you, Carlos.